Hi y'all, this is Larry at Deep South, Texas, and today we're going to make some cheddar cheese. So the first step in the process is to grab all your stainless steel items and cheesecloth and cheese mold and sterilize them. So these have been on the stove here for a while and boiling for 10 minutes, and they're ready to come off. And here's the list of ingredients. We have 3 gallons of whole milk, we have a packet of mesophilic direct set culture, we have some annatto, some calcium chloride, rennet, cheese salt, and then I have a spray bottle full of distilled white vinegar. We'll use that to just sanitize surfaces. So here's the items that I boiled earlier, probably more than I need, but I wanted this all sterilized. We have measuring spoons, measuring cups, other spoons, a strainer, some cheese mats, and cheesecloth, and my cheese mold. So now we have to heat up our milk, and we're going to heat it to 31 degrees Celsius or 88 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, we have the 3 gallons of milk into basically what amounts to a double boiler. We have a 5-gallon stainless steel pot here and a 4-gallon stainless steel pot here, and in the 5-gallon pot is about a 1.5 gallons of water. We'll heat that water, it'll heat the milk gently, and again we're going to heat that to 88 degrees Fahrenheit. And a little about the milk. This is whole milk. It's been homogenized and pasteurized. This is not the best milk to use for cheese making, but it's what I have. So we'll get back when we have this temperature up to 88 degrees. So my milk temperature is now 88 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to add the culture, mesophilic culture. I've taken it out of the double boiler at the moment. And we just sprinkle the culture on the top. And we let that set for 5 minutes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes since we added the culture. It's rehydrated now, so now we thoroughly mix it into the milk. And now we let the milk set for 40 minutes. Now we're going to mix some of these other ingredients. We're going to dilute them in water before we add them to the milk. The annetto, which is the coloring, says to add 25 to 50 drops per 1 gallon of milk. So I think there's about 100 drops in a teaspoon. Since I have 3 gallons of milk, I am going to put in a teaspoon of annetto, which seems like an awful lot, and I think this annetto must be a little bit weak. Okay, there's a teaspoon. Put that in the water. The calcium chloride, we're going to put in 3/4 of a teaspoon. And the rennet, we're also going to put in 3/4 of a teaspoon. All of these are mixed in a 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water. Okay, it's been 45 minutes. The milk should be acidified by now. So now we're going to add the annetto. Stirring as we put it in. And again, this is coloring. It should turn the cheese kind of yellow or orange in the end. So that's mixed in. Now we're going to put in the calcium chloride. And get it all mixed in. And the calcium chloride helps the milk set a little bit better curd, particularly when you're using pasteurized milk. So this is to help make up for the pasteurization. Get that all mixed in well. And now we're going to add the rennet. And the rennet is what sets the milk into a curd. And try to get this thoroughly mixed, but you only mix for 1 minute because it starts setting up pretty quickly. So we mix it for a minute. Make sure it's all mixed in well. And try to calm the milk down a little bit. And then we put the lid back on. And we let it set for 40 minutes. And check and see if it's formed a curd. Okay, it's been about 45 minutes. Let's see if the milk is set up. And that looks pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and cut it into 1/2-inch cubes. And this takes a little while. I'll try to either edit some of this out or speed up the video a little bit. We'll see when we get there. You want the curds to be cut as evenly as possible. I'm not really good at this, but first we cut it one way, then we cut it the other way, and then we cut it diagonally. Okay, and now we let those curds sit for 5 minutes to heal up a little bit. Okay, now we're going to slowly stir the curd and bring the temperature up to 102 degrees. If you have any big pieces of curd, it's important to cut them up at this point, and they cut up very, very easily at this point in the game. As we cook them a little bit more, they'll get a little bit harder to cut up, I mean. But right now, they break very easily. So we have the curds back on the double boiler. We have the heat on. And we're going to slowly bring it up to 102 degrees Fahrenheit over the next 45 minutes. It came out after it had set and we cut the curd. It was about 86 degrees Fahrenheit. So we lost a couple degrees. No big deal. But now we're going to heat it up and cook the curd. And we stir continually during this process. Okay, we've been heating the curds for about 20 minutes now. We are at 95 degrees, which is halfway to our target temperature of 102. And hopefully you can see that the curds are expelling whey and they are reducing in size. They will continue to do that throughout the cooking process. They're also getting a lot tougher, so if you find a big one that you need to cut, it's a little bit more difficult to cut than it was when we first started out. But we'll continue this process of heating it up and stirring it till we get to 102 degrees. Okay, it's been 45 minutes and we've reached our target temperature of 102. You can see the curd size has reduced quite a bit. Now we're just going to let this set for 40 minutes and let the curd consolidate on the bottom of the pan. Okay, the curd should have settled down to the bottom of the pan, so we're going to drain it off. Now, Going to drain off the whey. Now you could use this whey to make ricotta cheese, but what I'm going to do is save it and put it on the garden. Maybe help with some blossom end rot I had out there last year. There's a surprising amount of whey. That's it for that pan. I got another pan here. Okay, now we're going to start the cheddaring process. Attempt to cut this in half. And then put each half back in the pan. If I can do that without breaking it up. So here are the curds at the start of the cheddaring process. Every 15 minutes for the next hour, I will flip them over, bottom to top, and continue that process. Here's a look at the whey that came from that 3 gallons of milk. That's a lot of whey. Okay, we'll be back when we turn these over. Okay, it's been 15 minutes. Let's turn this over if we can. And let's pour out some of this whey. And put these back in the pot for another 15 minutes. Okay, it's been 15 minutes. Let's flip these curds over. pour off some of this whey again. This time this one goes on the bottom. And this one goes on the top. And then we'll let that process continue 2 more times. And after that, we'll be back to mill the cheese curds. Okay, the curds have been cheddaring for an hour. So it's time to take them out. And mill them. So, first thing we're going to do is cut them in slices. And then we're going to cut them the other way as well. And then we're going to there's what they look like right now. Then we're going to break them up a little bit. Put them back in the pan. Once we get that all done, then we're going to put in our salt. Okay, now we're going to put in 2 tablespoons of cheese salt. And mix that all up. Quick spray of my hands with some white vinegar. Okay, that's mixed up pretty well. Now we're going to put them in the mold. Okay, this mold is about 6.5 inches in diameter and about 6.5 inches tall, and it's a perfect size for doing 3 gallons of milk. So we just scoop our milled curds up. Put them in the mold. I've been doing my best to keep these curds warm. It's one of the one of the problems I find with making cheddar. It needs to be somewhat warm in order for these cubes to knit together. This is not. This is different than most cheeses that I make. So. Okay, they're in the mold. We try to stretch out the cheesecloth a little bit. So that there aren't any wrinkles in the cheesecloth because they will transfer right over to the cheese. And then we fold over the top of the cheesecloth. And we put our follower on. And then it goes into the cheese press. So now we have it in the cheese press, and we're going to put on, this is a 1.5 liter bottle of water. This puts about 30 pounds of pressure on the press. So right now we have a 1.5 liter bottle as the weight for the press. And that puts about 30 pounds of pressure on the cheese. You can already see there's whey coming out. It's running fairly clear. That's good. And we'll leave that in the press for 30 minutes. Then we'll take it out and flip it over and put it back in. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes. Now we're going to take the cheese out and flip it over. We do this carefully. The cheese is not fully formed yet at this point. And then put it back in the cheese press. I'm going to empty this pan out first. I'll add it here. going to put on a 1 gallon weight, which puts about 50 pounds of pressure on the cheese. So it's been another half hour. Time to flip it again. Hopefully it's formed up a little bit more. Yeah, definitely looking better. And tightening up the cheesecloth to try to prevent any wrinkles in the side of the cheese. And we'll put it back in the press. And now we're going to put on 2 milk jugs. This is about 140 pounds. And that will set that way overnight. So in the morning, it should be fully formed, and we'll take it out of the press at that time. See you then. Well, it's the next morning, and it's time to take this cheese out of the press and see how we did. Wow, it looks like it came together real well. So I don't see any cracks. It's a nice color. That color will probably deepen a little bit over time. So we'll let this cheddar cheese air dry for the next 2 or 3 days, and then we'll make a determination of whether we vacuum bag it or wax it. But it's looking pretty good right now. So this cheese will be ready in about 6 months to give it a try. We're going to air dry it here for 2 or 3 days, and then we'll be putting it into the cheese cave. I expect it's going to be great. I know this is a long video. Thanks for taking the time to watch it. Please hit that like button, that thumbs up, and comment. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching.